Hello and welcome to another episode of SAFC Fan TV Extra Time, which I believe it's around about episode 22. Conrad, am I correct?
Something like that, yeah. I mean, if you're on Spotify, and quite a few people are now, you're on season 2, episode 9, I want to say, because we upload the Sunday bunches as well as episodes, so it's all over the gaff, really.
It flew by. So joining us on the podcast tonight, we've got Conrad. Conrad, how are you doing? How's things?
Yeah, not too bad, mate, not too bad. Like I said, just chilling today. Well, I say chilling morning, and then the afternoon I was at work, so it wasn't too bad. But how about yourself?
Aye, not too bad like yourself. Long day at work, but you know it's got to be done. But look forward to talking about something for the next hour. It's good being a Sunderland fan at the minute, I think, rather than a happy person.
Just about.
Yeah.
And also tonight we've got Mr. Jacob Kirkbride. How are you, Jacob? How's things, mate? How are you doing?
On cloud 9, to be honest with you, Wayne. I'm still recovering from Saturday, to be brutally honest. Sunday that was. Being down there as well, embracing it was absolutely fantastic. And I'm kind of disappointed, to be honest, really. There's no Sunderland action this weekend. We've got till the 14th to wait, which is a bit annoying, but yeah, a well-deserved break, but I wish we were back into the swing of things already. Deserved break for the players, put it that way.
That's it, though. I mean, what's your thoughts on these international breaks? Me, I hate them. Like you say, we've started the season, and we've got some good momentum, and then all of a sudden you're like, well, now that's stopped, and you give other teams a chance to regroup, and the new signings get a chance to bet in other teams, and also I hate them. I mean, what your thoughts are, Conrad, on these international breaks?
Yeah, it's one of those I never used to really bother me, and I used to like watching England, but you only tend to enjoy watching England now in qualifiers, maybe, depending on who it is. A special friendly if it's like Germany or Argentina or one of the big ones.
It is a big one this weekend, to be fair.
Who is it?
Well, Republic of Ireland. Well, for some people, it's probably more to them.
We're both going to say, who is it? Just that's sure interesting.
Yeah. No, I mean, yes, it should be like it, but for me, the big one that's close is Scotland. I actually do watch the ones against Scotland because I just want to beat you. That's all I want to do. So maybe I'll watch it. I don't know, but that's the thing. It's a maybe I'll watch it. Yeah. Whereas it's a Sunderland thing. It's like I will move my entire weekend around to make sure I watch them.
I think these nation leagues is kind of like watching England reserves and all. I mean, isn't it 2 or 3 players pulled out already? Watkins and what have you have pulled out. So, Jake, I mean, what's your thoughts? I don't like them. I'm not a fan of them.
It's always worse when your team's doing so well and then you go into a break like this, particularly coming off the back of 4 wins. And yeah, it's. I think what you mentioned there about, was it Watkins pulling out the England squad, you just pray to God that it's not one of our boys. I mean, you're constantly checking Twitter on an international weekend, seeing how our players get on if they've not pulled out with injuries, because that will, throw a spanner in the works. But at the moment, I mean, the games are not being played. You just say your prayers and hope everything comes back all smooth.
I mean,
I used to dread Kenwyn Jones going on international leave when we had him, and he was like our only one, and it was flying halfway around the world to play absolutely nobody.
And then one game against England in a friendly, I think he dislocated his ankle and he missed the first 2 months of the season.
And that was at the end of the season, and he still missed the start of the next one. It was ridiculous.
Yeah.
How many players have we got away? Well, now we've got obviously Hume, Ballard, Job's away, Chris Riggs away.
Samedi will be with Ghana, won't he?
Yes.
Well, he's just come over with us though, so it'd be weird to to come over to do
I don't know whether he was included in the squad though.
Yeah, or maybe he's been given leave to finalise a move or something, because he's here. Because obviously we've seen the videos today. But Ballard's the worry for me, just because he's semi-made of glass.
Well, them 4 players. Hume, Ballard, Rigg, and Job. If we're to lose them, then
I don't know about. Hasn't Mienda got some caps for the Spanish under-21s or something?
Something like that, yeah. I don't know if are they playing at the same time though, or it's like every nation's one. Or...
No, but I heard though a lot of the players who didn't go away, they were playing. I think they're playing games behind closed doors at the academy. Yeah, not sure who those are against, but
just don't keep them ticking over. So Pompey then at the weekend, and we touched on this on the Sunday bunch, but Jacob, you were down there. I've seen some of your social media posts about probably being one of the best away weekends ever.
Yeah, brilliant.
How was it?
Fantastic on the drink from 9 a.m, mate. We started that early because knowing our record going down there before the game kicked off, we thought we might as well enjoy ourselves now. I think it was in my lifetime, I think we've only won at Pompey 1 in 11 times that we've been there. And finally, I think, it's going to be, I think, a season full of surprises and happiness when you go to a ground where it's been a bogey ground for years and then you finally get that win there. And it was like that when we went to West Brom under Mowbray towards the back end of that 23 season, and then we got the win there. It just sort of had that same feel to it. And yeah, it couldn't have happened to a lovely bunch. They didn't like us coming out of the away end that day, but yeah, you snooze, you lose, unfortunately.
I mean, we didn't just beat them. I mean, they never hardly laid
a glove. I don't think we got out of second gear, to be honest. But you could tell that they've been a League One side for the past couple of years in terms of the way they played. I think our quality when it mattered in the game showed at the right time. I think we picked them off when it was very much needed, particularly once Brown, who decided to nick my Ender's goal, unfortunately. I mean, he'll be fuming at him for that. Once that went in, I mean, I'll hold my hands up, I missed it. A lot of the fans missed it. They were still having a drink at half time early in the second half. Once that went in, you knew it was game over from that point.
It was an unbelievable performance. Conrad, do you think, if we look at our League One days, do you think that game kind of shows how far we have come as a team? Because the games against them in League One were always tight. We were always struggling against them. Does that kind of show how much of an improvement we have made?
It shows where we were when you think back to those awful away days at Pompey. What was it, 3-1 in the first
4-0.
year? And the 4-0, we won 2-0 with the COVID year with Charlie Wyke and
Jordan Jones.
And was there another one, or was that one? It would have been
2-0 under Parkinson.
2-0 under Parkinson. Yeah,
0-0 in the playoff.
That was the best one in my opinion. Though that was actually where I thought we played the best sort of football. Even though McLaughlin saved us like about 8 or 9 times on it, but. It's just, I mean, like you were talking about, Jacob, the difference between them is they were still playing their game that obviously did them really well last year. A lot of passing, a lot of moving. I kept saying while I was doing commentary, I was like, none of their players are ever in the same position when they receive the ball. When they've given it, both centre-backs would move around and then they would rotate round with each other. The 2 defensive mids kept doing the same thing again. So everyone was moving. I kept saying they're a really fluid, good passing side, and I can see why they've caused people problems. The only thing was they couldn't link in with Sadie, and I don't know if that was because we just kept him out of the game.
Had him in his back pocket.
Yeah, well, even 09 in the first half was just out-headering him on every single thing that came near him. And then the difference was when we got the ball, like when Chris Rigg 50-50, literally it was just straight at him. Don't bother like messing about, nothing else. If you look at all our attacks, we got the ball back and we just went straight line for the goal, and then it was a cutback on 2 of them, but the other one was like a nice layoff. We just sort of went. The more we fannied about with it, for lack of a better expression, the less chance we had of scoring. But when we just went for our ruthlessness, we weren't going to be stopped.
I mean, I think that result's probably better on paper, better than what it looks on paper when you bear in mind the start what they had. The
they were unbeaten as well.
Leeds at a 95th minute equaliser to give a draw. The drew with Luton 0-0, albeit with 10 men. And then again, last minute equaliser against Borough at Borough. So, they've started the season really well. And I think we just battered them, to be fair. Like you say, we didn't get it with second gear.
I know they had, I think, was it Colby Bishop who scored a lot of goals for them in League One last? I think he's he's been ruled out for them for the first few months of the season. But I know they got in that striker, I think, in the summer, who got 2 against Borough the previous week. But yeah, 09 and Ballard basically isolated him the entire game, and yeah, never got a sniff. I mean, like Conrad said, they were an okay side in possession. They did try and get a lot of balls into the box, but yeah, Ballard and 09 just read them straight away. And yeah, we isolated their forward line very well on Saturday.
I totally agree. I mean, I think Reggie Bris, his tactics in all 4 games have been absolutely bang on. I mean, I think in performances as well have probably been improving week on week. And with the Cardiff one, the first game of the season probably wasn't the best performance, but since then we'll just seem to be getting better and better. And what I like about him as well is he seems to, even like we beat Sheffield 4-0 and then obviously 3-1 at the weekend. His press conferences afterwards, he's like, "Well, yes, we've done well, but we can still get better," which is what I like, which is a great sign. So
yeah,
definitely.
He kind of experimented a little bit. He sort of moved Brown a bit further forward, and he had Rigg doing sort of the holding role, winning second balls, which obviously Rigg played a fantastic part in our 3rd goal. But yeah, it was interesting to see him make that change, and I think it just shows that we can adapt more with the players this season.
I mean, what do you think he changed at half time? Because he after the game he did say at half time we solved some problems and it was better second half. So what do you think? Do you think I couldn't say a notable change the second half? Must have been a very slight.
I think it was more how we were playing with the ball rather than actual positional things. Because the first half we were quite trying to do our build up, trying to be gradual about it, and then if you think our first goal, sort of down the right side, Hume got in behind, square ball, and we forced an error from them. Whereas the second half, both of our goals were we got the ball down quickly, shifted it to a side, and just went straight away, didn't give them chance to regroup. And that's probably what the change was. We were much more direct in the second half and cutthroat, as it were. So, like, yes, Mayenders was right through the middle, but Mundell spotted the space and went for it, whereas we spotted Roberts free and got him in behind on him, and we made sure it was like, if you're getting in behind, you go for it. You get straight in behind. You either go to the byline or you cut back and have a shot. And if Roberts could have had a shot, it could have been about 2 or 3 at halftime, really.
They made a mistake on their behalf trying to chase the game at only 1-0. With the players that we've got, we will pick you off badly for that. And I think when the way how they came out second half, they were going most of their players were in our half, more or less. It was all guns blazing for them. And I knew once we were able to win back possession, they wouldn't be able to cope with us. You know, we had enough players to catch them on the break. And yeah, it proved that on 2 occasions.
I would say that was our most complete performance of the season. Like, yes, we had a bit of a slow start, but we've had a slowish start in all the games. But I think it's like we were saying on Sunday when we read teams quite well, or Reggie is reading the teams quite well to make the changes. So I think from like 10 minutes in till the end, that was the best I've seen us play throughout the whole half. You think about Burnley, slowish 5 minutes, but then we battered them for 20 minutes, scored, and then sort of settled into a sort of steady-ish performance throughout. Sheffield Wednesday were terrible, and we just sort of blitzed them away by half-time. So we didn't really need to go all out in the second half for it, and we killed off any momentum with them within 2 minutes of coming back out as well. And then the Cardiff one, where we didn't really know what to expect, was sort of patches of and glimpses of this is what we can do, this is what we will do, but we took a sort of a bit more of a careful approach with it, I think.
I mean, on about Riggs' tackle for the third goal, if you watch, I mean, it was absolutely fantastic. But the second goal, Job actually does it as a cracking tackle in I think it's in our right back area, wins the ball, and then within 3 passes, we've scored. You know, and that's what you.
Would you say that was Job's most complete performance in the 4 games we've seen so far?
I think he's been absolutely immense so far. They say he's come back like a different player. He looks stronger. He looks fitter. He looks more energetic. And I think you're probably right, and I think Reggie Bris is knows where to play him and knows how to get the best out of him. Again, testament to him.
I think the only what I'd want to see more in his game. I think there was a few moments in the first half when there was space opened up for him in and around the box. Sometimes he is quite pedestrian. He doesn't like to have shots at goal. He likes to get the ball into wide areas for the likes of Mundell and Roberts to cross it. But I don't know whether that's the Bris telling him to do that. But yeah, he has got capability, you know, to hit the target and score. But his best attribute is definitely, there were moments, particularly in the first half, because they're quite compact in the midfield. You know, they were trying to stop him in particular playing his game. When there's three blokes around him, you know, he's so calm and composed, receiving the ball and getting out of tight areas. That's what he's best at doing.
Did you see?
Go on.
I was going to say in the second half when I think Patterson played the ball out on the edge of his box and there was attackers all around me, just dropped his shoulder and turned, and the defenders went one way. And
and I was just about to say, Sunderland put on an Instagram post of that today, where it was literally he just did that, and they both moved completely, and he just turned around and ran off with it, and it was gone. And then they said Riggs one where he was running with the ball. Two players all came in to clatter him, and he just gascoined it over the top of them and turned around and walked off. And it's just like, these two are under 20, like, and they're amazing.
Speaking of passes, we've got to mention Luke O'Nine's got a left foot like a wand.
That free kick
70 yards. A weak foot.
That had gone in, that would have arguably been our best goal of the season. Like, even if it had just been a tap in, it would have been like, look at that.
Yeah.
He's done it a few times this season already. You know, diagonal balls, unbelievable. So Pompey, then it was hard to it was hard to pick a man of the match, I thought, against Portsmouth. But I went for Chris Rigg just because he was on a yellow card, and that tackle in the second half to create the second goal was absolutely unreal. So, Jacob, who was your man of the match, or could you not pick one?
It was really hard to decide. I mean, I think you summed it up well though with Rigg. I just thought his all-round midfield display was excellent to see. He was like a bulldog in the middle of the park, you know, chasing down second balls, you know, wanting to get stuck in. Unbelievable, mate. A different sort of, a more energetic dog. In the middle of Bulldog's a bit harsh, I think.
I think, Commath, did you pick Chris Rigg on Sunday, did you? Or did you
no, I said I probably should have done, but I sort of went, I'm going to sympathy give it to my ender because he had a goal nabbed off of him, but he also technically did get 2 assists, 3 if you count the one back off the keeper for the first goal as well anyway. And I just think that was his best performance for us, and yet he didn't actually score. Because against Sheffield Wednesday, the first one sort of bounced to him, great finish, and the second one was a lovely ball from Clark.
Yeah.
Burnley, I didn't see him a couple of times. He was in a position to shoot and didn't, and so he sort of, everyone gets a bit annoyed when you have an opportunity to shoot and you don't.
Yeah.
Cardiff, he had that miss. I don't want to say a bad miss; it was a good save, really. But I think overall, just seeing him drive on, which is what I've been talking about for ages, that if we can get him driving at players or running in behind them, that's where he's best. And we actually saw that for the third goal. He just got the ball, head down, and just ran. And Mundell just bursted up on that side, and the right back wasn't catching him. And their defender didn't come over for him to rule out my ender just having a shot. So I thought, considering that you're, 4 games in to being Sunderland's main man at the moment, I thought you deserve it just for that. But it was hard not to say Chris Rigg.
Go on, Jim, you were going to say?
I was going to say... one man that deserves a shout also is Isidore, who came on, debut lad. I think he is going to be, I mean, excuse my language here, a big king in shithousery this year. There was a few moments when he kept that the fans absolutely loved. There was one.
Did you see his Cruyff turn in the air? And then he tackled the bloke who took it off him as well. And it was like...
The best one was, I was literally right in front of it from where I sat. There was a moment where the Pompey fullback picked up the ball on the right hand. He didn't know he was behind him, and literally just like went round.
Oh, that's the one I meant. Yeah, he kept it in from like Cruyff turning it. Oh. Yeah, and their player had it, and he just ran in from behind him and just walked back off with it, and it was just like, like not only have you done an amazing bit of skill in the air to keep it in, you've then robbed the player who thought he'd walked off for the ball.
And the fact that the fans labelled him like a god when they bumped into him at the service.
I think he's one of them. After he's only played like come the last 10 minutes, he's already a fan's favourite after 10 minutes. And I watched him play for the under-21s during the week. He looks good. Like he looks like he's good.
I hope he is.
Well, he the signing apparently was done the day before it got announced, and he joined in training on the actual day. So it was more or less his medical was done in the morning, and he was out on the grass in the afternoon.
All right.
Yeah.
So I think it'd be a good one for us. I do. I think, or at least like, even if it is the goals and the assists don't come in, a bit like Geldhart, the fact that he'll just sort of get involved in it and be part of the sort of fan celebrations and love it, I think will be just a big help for him.
So onto the transfer window then, we've just touched on Mienda there. Do you think if we'd sign Mienda in this, like at the start of the season, he started the season like he has done, would we all be raving about him as a cracking signing?
I think probably more so than what we are doing, because we signed him last season and we didn't see anything of him. That if you bring in a 19-year-old kid and he's got two goals, 3 assists already in 4 games, you're sitting there going, that's a pretty damn good return. And if
he missed the first 3 months of last season as well.
He did. He was injured, and then he came on and he had like an amazing run and shot, and we all thought, oh, hang on, there's a player here. And we harped him out to Hibs, didn't we? And I don't think he didn't play for him really. But against Cardiff,
he needed that though.
Yeah, against Cardiff, could have scored. Against Burnley, he had a couple of chances to shoot, so it could have been more really.
Well, I think Mowbray said in an interview, out of the strikers we signed the previous summer, he was the one that, before he got sacked, he was wanting to get fit the most and up to scratch. But unfortunately, it never materialised. But now I think we're starting to see the real deal in terms of the player we've got.
And I think
I'm not saying he should still be number one, depending on everyone else. However, I am happy with him playing.
Yeah.
That's the best way of saying it.
I think based on the transfer window, he's going to be our number one. And now we've signed this Abdullah Hyde, but he's the same age at 18, 19, is he? And now we've paid
20,
money
I
for
think.
him.
I think I saw because I remember seeing, he's 1 year older than him. So I think he's 20.
And
we'll see more of him, I think, in the under-21s games in the next few weeks, I'd say.
But he does the Kenwyne Jones cartwheel and backflip when he scores. So I need to see that back. I used to love that. Just watching powering headers in and then watching him doing like 2 cartwheels and backflips. It was amazing times.
So transfer window, like I've just been saying. So how do you evaluate our transfer business? I mean, do you think it's strange that we've signed as many midfielders as we have done, as that's probably our strongest area on the pitch? And now we've got Poveda, Alan Brown, Milan Alexic, Salis Abdul Samed. Where they're going to fit in? You've got Job, Daniel, Chris Rigg. Where they're going to fit in?
Is he preparing for potential outgoings, I wonder? Thinking further ahead.
A bit like when we signed Mundell, we were looking ahead at what was to come. So I know Samed's on loan, really, but I think we're having a look at him to see if he's worth spending the money it's going to cost us to actually get him out. And isn't Alexic like the most money we've spent on a player under this model? So it clearly shows how much sort of faith they have in him already. And I think, like Jacob said, I think it'll be time to bed them in, rather than sort of just throwing them in and expecting them just to sort of get it and turn around. I sent you that image before because we were talking about midfielders, about Ekwa and what Bris was saying. I don't know if I was just reading between the lines, and I don't want to sort of be like nitpicky or anything. It just felt like they were trying to say around it that Ekwa's attitude wasn't right. They weren't trying to say it in a nasty way. I think they were just saying like, we're coming at it from different ways, and he's not going to be first team. And while he's not being first team, the best place for him to be is away from here. That's how I read it. And
I think, just to back that up, didn't read between the lines when Mowbray's interviews as well. Mowbray was kind of saying that certain players need a slap round the face to get them G'd up to play.
Yeah, that's true. I forgot about that.
That was aimed at Ekwa last year as well. So Jacob, what's your thoughts on that? I mean, do you think he's a lazy player? His attitude's wrong, or
no? There's something there, and I think it would benefit him being in that league for a season. I think it will suit his game a lot. I think because I don't think we knew where best to play him in the year and a half that we had him. To be honest, I think it was sort of experimenting with Ekwa all the time, whether he was a holding midfield player, whether he was a number 10, whether he was box to box. I think Mowbray and Beale and Dodds couldn't quite figure it out with him, and I think he's guaranteed to thrive more being at St Etienne than he is with us, I'd say. So, I mean, I don't know whether he's made his debut there or not yet.
I don't think so. Now, there was some. I think he posted some pictures on Instagram earlier on of him training, so I don't think he's made his debut yet. But
yeah,
I mean,
I do think if you look at the way Neil, Brown, Rigg, and Job have all played this season, and then you sort of say to yourself, having watched Ekwa for 18 months, have you seen any of what they've done in any of his play at all? And you're sitting there going, no, I haven't seen the engine that Job is providing. I haven't seen the sort of die-hard tackle like Chris Rigg did the other day, even when he was on a yellow card. I haven't seen that grit and that determination. Yeah. I haven't seen Dan Neil's technique. I haven't seen him, for the bad way as well, gobbing off at referees. He's just not bothered. And I haven't seen him drive us forward like Brown did, or be a bit of a leader to us and just sort of just his intelligent play. So then you start to go, okay, well, then you're already fourth choice and we're looking at better options.
Yeah. So what have you got?
He has really good plus points. He does have a good pass on him. He has a hell of a left-footed shot on him. And I thought he was personally better when he was on the edge of the box. Maybe not as a 10, but as an 8, but closer to their box, especially on the right-hand side where he could cut back and he could whip a ball at them. That's where I thought he was best.
Yeah, there were two performances. That's first leg against Luton in the playoffs where he was phenomenal, and then the Southampton 5-0 where he was in a more advanced role. I think he scored that game as well.
One was a deflection, wasn't it? But
I think they gave one to the defender. But yeah,
I think his all-round game that day was brilliant. But it was after, I think he came off against QPR with a dead leg, and we never saw the same player in him.
Never been the same.
I would just wonder whether there was more to that injury that beats the eye.
Possible. There must have been. A dead leg doesn't keep you up.
That's what. Do you remember? I mean, not to hark back to last season, but I seem to remember we were talking a lot last season at that point about, well, where is he? How long is a dead leg? How long are you out for? And so it's little pieces are just making a bit more sense now. And we're not saying bad player, bad attitude or anything. It's just you're piecing bits together. And then when you compare him to what we've got playing for us at the moment and the potential talent we've brought in, he was the one that was likely to go, especially if we actually do get this 7 million for him when he cost us nothing. And apart from a sell-on clause, which I would imagine is 30 to 40% when we're already...
It's a big one, I think, for West Ham.
Yeah, but I mean, if you think if we took 7 million, they're going to take 2 to 3 million off that straight away. But we did nothing apart from let him play for 18 months. Well,
that's it. On the other transfers, an interesting one that I think is Chris Mepham, or Mepham, whichever you see it. Now,
Medvin for me, Charlie Medvin.
Charlie.
That was the deadline day crack.
Yeah.
On stream that Conrad mentioned about 10 times.
I couldn't say his name. I just kept saying Charlie Medvin. I had to be corrected like 18 times. It was ridiculous.
He's come in, and he's stated that he's come in to try and save his Welsh career, because obviously he wants to prolong his career, this Nation Leagues and what have you. But where's he going to play? Obviously, Ballard and Luke O'Nien, you would think, are going to be Reggie Lebree's first choice centre halves. So if he's coming here to play games, where's he going to play?
Well, his saving grace, it's the wrong thing to say. We do have defenders made of cheese strings.
That is that.
Because Elise is not going to be back till, I think, the beginning of October now. I don't think he'll kick a ball for all of September. And I think Sirkin is, you know what it's like with Circuit. It was just one moment where he'll have to come off. We won't see him for another 3 or 4 months.
Yeah, we can't replace Sirkin at the minute. That's a really big one. Whereas if you're on about where does he play, the fortunate thing for him is he has 2 defenders in Ballard and Elise that don't really play 30-plus games a season. Luke O'Nine's hardly injured ever. So you would imagine he plays with O'Nine if Ballard's not fit. But I would quite like to see Ballard and Meppen together. And that's not because I don't think Luke O'Nine's a bad player. I think he's great and he's done an amazing job for us.
There'll be a suspension along the line.
Yes, but I'm also I say this, and I don't mean to sound harsh when I say it, but I'd like to actually have people in the right positions for us to change. And it's not that he's not doing a great job at centre-half for us, but it's just I want the 2 natural centre-backs to be natural centre-backs, and then even if that was Elise and Ballard, even when I used to say last season, our back 4, I always said Hume, Ballard, Elise, Sirkin. I left out 09, and it's not because I don't rate him or I think he's any good or not any good. It's just because I want those natural players in that natural position.
Do you not think now, though, that he's actually classed as a centre-half? I mean, you've had Mowbray, Beale, Dodds, and now Lebris have all played him as centre-half, and they've showed no signs of shipping him out of there. At all. So
just to go back to a comment we read before we started, when people were saying, "I don't get the sealed hate that we have." I think it was mainly me. But does that, again, what you're saying, does that not scream even more so that they're willing to put a midfielder out of position in ahead of a natural centre back?
Yeah. Exactly.
And it's not it's not that I hate Seal. I just thought he was better at right back for the few games that he played there than he ever was in any of the games he played at centre half.
Yeah. On the Dodds,
that was just my opinion.
No, before Beale took over.
Yeah.
That's why I'm a bit surprised that we didn't try and strengthen or get cover for the right backs area, especially Pembele has gone, who I think will never make a footballer as long as he's got a hole in his arse, because he's one of the worst players I've ever seen in my life. But he's had a bad injury, and maybe that takes a bit of time to get out, but he showed me nothing at all to see he was actually a professional footballer.
The
West Brom away last season, he was
Leeds away. I thought he was quite good.
I can't remember that one. I remember for some reason their West Brom away last season, we all seemed to do it. It was a turgid game, but all the players seemed to do okay in that game. I think it was our last win of the season with Ekwar's volley.
Yeah. But I mean, the fullbacks, if we were to lose Hume and Sirkin, I mean, especially right back, who then plays there? At least I know Hielder can play left back, but even so, I didn't rate him either.
Can 09 adjust at all? Is he purely a centre half?
I'd probably end up going 09 back at right back, where it all started for.
With him bringing Meffen in, do you think there could be a chance of him getting to a back 3? Play the 3 of them?
We did that under Dodds when we had that good spell under Dodds to beat West Brom and Leeds, and it worked. So I think the players can adjust to that system quite well, so it wouldn't surprise me later on in the season we may have to resort to that.
If he was going to do that, he'd want really attacking full-back wingers, i.e. Sirkin, and not drop Mundle deep to play sort of left wing back, left thing. Like Mundle needs to be at the top, like left forward as well. So it's I don't see him changing to a 3 just because he's bought someone in on loan. And even then, if we change to a 3 and one of them goes down injured, then we're back to the 2 that are worse than not worse. They're not as good as the others. How long's Huggins out for? Because Huggins looked great last season when he played.
Huggins he's not going to play at all this year.
Right.
But what's weird though, I was thinking about this the other day because I was expecting we would have brought a cover in at right back on deadline day. Is there more to it that we could see Huggins back on the grass training before Christmas, maybe?
Possibly.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Or maybe they go, because Seal played right back last season, maybe they're thinking that's still an option, and they know 09 did, and I don't know when Zeba.
I mean, part of me thought last season was Huggins' last year on his contract, but I think he's got at least another year.
Well, me and Mike in the summer did a sort of sell, keep episode of Extra Time as well, and we got absolutely slated for most of our picks. I think it'd be interesting to go back and sort of see who we actually said we would. But I think we said we'd keep Huggins, but if he doesn't play more than half of this season, it's a bit like, what are we doing? We had him in League One, and I think I've seen him do 10 games overall.
Yeah.
Like, are we just wasting our time now? Right.
I think where his saving grace is, he's a fullback that can play both sides. I think to have a player like that available further down the line could benefit us a lot.
Aye.
And there's definitely a player in there, so maybe we're just biding our time and hoping that we get somewhere with him.
I mean, the injury he got was just unfortunate. It wasn't like it was awkward when the way he landed, or he twisted his leg or something, didn't it, at the time?
Yeah, it happens.
Could happen. And he's not had the best record, but so who do you think has been our best signing of I know we haven't seen some of them yet, but out of the ones that you have seen, who's been our best signing?
Oh.
I'm going to have to go Brown, I think, first, just because he's the one who's played the most, admittedly.
Yeah, basically.
But I think if you think back to our midfield last season, central midfield, I should say, not like attacking midfield, I think he's instantly proved he's more than capable of being at the top of that list as well, with the likes of Dan Neil and Chris Rigg, and now Bellingham's put himself in there as well. And I think just the way he came in, and there was just, like sometimes I go, it'll take a while for a player to settle in, get used to the team. It looks like he's been here the whole time. And then if you also go to, we had Corey Evans before, and we needed an upgrade on him, and we just pulled him out, and this is exactly what we've got, and now he does more than what Corey Evans was doing for us anyway.
Well, I thought we brought him as a sitting player, but he's not. He's been playing more advanced, and he gets about the pitch great. I mean, bearing in mind we've only seen him, Pavetta for 2 minutes, and Simon Moore is the only ones that we've seen. And I think Roberts for me is like a new signing this season. For me, he's been absolutely bang on it. Do you think that's because we've signed Pavetta, Jacob? Do you think that's given him a kick up the arse? Now he's got competition for places.
I think I don't know on that front, but I think a lot of it is down to Bris as well. I think he saw Roberts as one of the main projects he wanted to get underway and improve the moment he came in, because he must have thought he can't be as bad as people make it. I know people want him to chip in with a few more goals and assists, but if you look at his performances in the Mowbray season, in the Neil Mowbray season 22-23, where I think the standout one was Reading away.
Yeah,
I think that's his aim, to get him back to the player he was then. I think it is also a confidence issue as well, mate. I mean, to be fair to Roberts, he was unlucky with injuries last year when I think there was, at the start, I think he missed about a month or two, and then he came back, and then I think it was just before the derby, wasn't it? At Rotherham away, where he came off injured in the first 15 minutes, and I don't think we saw him for another 2-3 months after. So yeah,
I think he's been or either given his confidence back by Bris, or given license to do more of his play, because he just seems back to that sort of level. Like you say, if he could just chip in with some goals, it'd be fine. But then again, when you look at his set pieces this season, like that was something that just didn't exist in any of the previous seasons with him. And he just put one on the head for Sirkin, who squared it for 09. Then he put one on Sirkin's head again. I don't think he was the one who to Mayenda, who then robbed it in. But he did the 1-2 with Hume as well to get Hume in. So even though he's not the final pass, he's really integral to how the rest of them are all moving in and around him. So I think he's definitely been better.
I think that Southampton interest last season kind of affected him as well, because at one point we thought he was on his way to Southampton, didn't we? Had his head turned a little bit, maybe.
Maybe. I think it was more with Stuart going. and then the rumours of him, it would probably be easy for a player to think, well, what's this project? What's this vision? You've just got rid of one of the best strikers in the league and the best strikers we have. And now you're entertaining offers from me as well. Like, what's the vision? So that might sort of have knocked him out of kilter with it a bit. And then the whole thing with Pritchard and how that was handled last season as well. And yeah, I think so. Maybe so, but you also I think we're the club he's been at the longest, I would probably say, because he was always loaned out from City to somebody else, to somebody else, to somebody else, and we're the longest time he's been settled. So, don't know, maybe.
I think it was just also, because was it 3 months after? Oh, there's balloons on my screen.
Is it your birthday?
It was.
Yeah. Oh, well, there you go.
26th of August.
Happy birthday delayed from your phone.
Thank you very much.
For those
People
who aren't watching,
what's going on here.
yeah. For those listening on Spotify, random balloons just appeared on Jacob's screen.
Going back to Robert, it was I think in and around the Christmas period where he signed that new contract, wasn't it? And I think fans were frustrated the fact that one of our more out of form players who wasn't chipping in with goals and assists was getting a new deal. I think the fans were on his back a fair bit last season, which at times was harsh, but I sort of did understand it. But the sympathy was the injuries he did have. And I think now it's starting to prove people that it was confidence as well. I think he just didn't believe in how we were playing when we had more with Dodds and Beale at the helm.
I think a lot of credit's got to go to Reggie Bris. I think he's definitely getting the best out of him. Whatever he's doing, it's working, and they all look happy and they look as though they're enjoying the football again. So
yeah,
long may it continue. Just before we wrap up, then, who's been your player of the season? I know it's only 4 games, but who's been your best player so far? Anyone can go.
Do you have one to mind, Wayne, while I struggle to think?
For me, I'd have to say probably Job. I just think he's been immense this season in all the 4 games. Looks fitter, he looks stronger, and looks a different player. On the flip side of that, it's how we manage him, because he did start last season, his first season like that, and we overplayed him. So, maybe it's the sign of Alexic and Samet will help ease that burden on him a little bit. But I'm going to say a Job. I would have said Rig, but Rig didn't play the first 2 games, did he?
He didn't play Cardiff, but he came off the bench, but he's played every other game.
Yeah. I'm going to say mine, Sirkin. Absolutely brilliant in the 4 games we've seen him. He looks even better now than what he was when we had Mowbray for the first season. And you have to consider the amount of bad injuries he's had for him to come back and be this good is fantastic. I mean, he's had a decent pre-season under his belt as well, which has helped. But yeah, Dennis Sirkin, I think on it, when fully fit on his day, I think he's the best left back in that division without a shadow of a doubt. And
I think you only realise how good he is when he's not playing. When you see
he could, I reckon he could walk into a Premier League side.
Yeah, easily.
Right now. But one that deserves a shout out also is Mundell. The pressure he's had on his shoulders, particularly the last 2 games, and for him to come in and do the job after Clark leaving, a lot of players would have crumbled under that pressure with the fan base that we've got.
We've not missed Clark at all.
No,
I never thought we'd see that.
No, exactly.
And he didn't even start for Ipswich at the weekend. He only got 10 minutes.
10 minutes.
Oh. And he didn't do very well in the cup for him the other night, apparently. I'm going to have to go Job as well, because like you say, I think just he's been a solid 8 or 9 out of 10 in all 4 games, regardless of what he's been doing. So, like, if you think about our second goal at Cardiff, when he tackled that lad, won the ball back, little 1-2 drove forward, assist for a goal, and then you think about how good he was against Sheffield Wednesday, think about how solid he was against Burnley, and then Portsmouth as well, just another absolute blinder. Every game has been just, this is what I do, and I'm going to keep doing it. So Chris Riggs unlucky to miss out, I think, because I think he's been absolutely phenomenal, especially when he's only 17. He just looks like no. He just. Do you remember? Was it a few years ago? And it's still funny now. I said to Jack when we played Fulham in the FA Cup, and I said what was good is he scored. Obviously, it was disallowed in that, but I went, really, he shouldn't have the betting sponsor on his shirt. No. He's 15, and they don't sell them on kids' shirts. Really,
it takes you back to that story under. I think it was a promotion party when Reed was manager, where I think the players were abroad. Mickey Gray had one too many, got sent home. And he had to give his bank card to the manager. And next thing he finds out is a 17-year-old Mickey Bridges is buying champagne, spraying it all over the place.
Oh, that'd be amazing. On Rig, and I would didn't really compare players, probably not the same type of player, but do you think Rig is better now than Henderson was at his age?
How old was Henderson when he broke through?
Older though, wasn't he?
Was he
I think he was
a bit older.
Yeah, but
with we didn't see the Hendo. He wasn't quite there yet. I think it took him, another 4 or 5 years for him to hit his prime.
Yeah, working under the Liverpool management, we saw the best of him. And
he played more right wing for us as well, wasn't it?
I think they saw the raw elements in him that our management at the time wouldn't have got out of him.
No.
I think he's got the capability to be better than Jordan Henderson.
Different sort of players, though, isn't it?
Yeah. I think he's going to be a superstar, mate.
I do as well.
I just hope it's not for them down the road, because I know they've been watching for a long time. And if he goes there...
I think it could be someone else. A Premier League side, but not them. I think
he could do better than them. Like, I know they're flirting with Europe and Champions League now, but I think he could do better than them.
He moves and passes the ball like a Phil Foden.
Yeah.
Exactly the same. And if you watch Phil Foden's game, the way how he drifts in and out of players and, belts the ball and passes the ball, cutting people out of the game, he does it exactly the same.
Left footer as well.
Well, Conrad, I mean, that bit of skill you were talking about against Pompey when he Gascoigned the ball with them two players. If Foden had done that, they'd have been raving about him.
Oh, it'd have been got a 10-minute segment on Match of the Day, wouldn't it?
Just finding them. So I know it's only early days and it's only 4 games in. And bearing in mind what we've seen, because I've seen a few of the championship teams, a few of the fancy teams. I've seen Leeds, I've seen Luton, I've watched Sheffield United, and none of them in the games I've watched have been anywhere near as good as us. So how good do you think we've really been, and do you think promotion is on the cards?
I think we've been really good. Go on, sorry, Dave, you go.
I think the only ones who would come close, I mean, even though we beat them 1-0 and I know they had a few players missing on the day, but we made them look ordinary. I think the ones that look like could be on par further down the line will be Burnley for how they performed in their first 2 games. But I think they've lost a few players since then as well. I think a few of their key players left in the latter stages of the window, but they did buy strongly as well. I think they got some key players in on loan. But yeah, I think them are the only ones that I would say in terms of the, because I've watched highlights of a lot of the championship games this season as well. I think they look like the only ones knocking on our door at the minute. But other than that, I think we've set the standard really high, to be honest.
I'm looking at West Brom just because they're also undefeated, 3 wins and a draw. They're playing a lot better than they were last season, and so are we by that time. I do think everybody else is sort of having an off start by the looks of it. Like, you think Sheffield United, Burnley, I know they've got issues, but Luton as well, they're down right near the bottom. Coventry, they're doing the usual thing. They don't start till October. Borough are dropping points. Leeds have dropped points already. And you're sitting there going, while this is going wrong-ish for them, we need to take advantage and just keep doing our thing and just beat the team that's in front of us every weekend. And that's the best thing we can do. Is we're sitting there going, you might be better than us. You might be. But the thing is, we can beat anyone. And if we just keep doing our own thing, we'll be up there. Now, I said 6th at the start of the season, but now I'm starting, after the way we've played and dispatched Burnley with without even playing that well. Smashed Sheffield Wednesday, who looked decent until they played us. And then who was the other one? Portsmouth. They were giving Leeds a run for their money. They gave Borough a run for their money. Luton just come down. I know Luton had a man sent off, but they sort of did them. And we just made them look like an ordinary team.
I think, obviously, we haven't gone a goal behind yet in any of the games. But I think how we react to that.
That's his first big test, isn't it?
It's going to be a big test. So
hopefully it's not for a few games yet.
Yeah, this conversation could be very different come Christmas time. But I think that's the thing. I think where we need to look at the bigger picture here. I think it's obviously the transfer window's shut now. It's how the signings for all the other teams are going to adapt in the next few weeks and months as well.
I think we just look each game on its own merit. So we don't start looking at Middlesbrough until Plymouth's finished, until you're on the bus, hopefully with 3 points in the bag, and then you start looking at Plymouth. Reggie, you can have, and your team, you can have a look at the fixtures ahead, but the players and the fans, I think we just need to go one game at a time. It's that early on in the season that it's just keep winning, keep the momentum going, keep the way we're playing going, and the opposition.
If you're Wayne
doesn't
Rooney,
matter.
you're cacking yourself now, though, aren't you?
Well, I hope he's still there when we play them. Like, I really hope he's still there.
I'll be very surprised if he's in that job in the next few weeks, the way how things are going.
Yeah, give it a month. I think he's not there.
With us just gone off recent history, the game like Plymouth would be the one where we slip at one.
We've not got a good record down at home park, really. I mean, we lost 2-0 last season. I think it was 0-0 the season we got promoted. I think it was Easter weekend. And if they were in the division the season before, which I'm not sure they were,
it was 0-0 on Easter Monday.
Yeah. No, that was the one in the promotion seat. The one before that, I don't know if they were in the league the year before when we lost in the playoffs to Lincoln.
I can't remember.
Don't remember. It's history. I don't want to think of.
We beat them 3-1. It was towards the end of the season, I think.
Yes, it was the only one we won out of the last 10 games. You are correct, yeah, because we were on we're going to win the league. It's all in our hands, and we won 1 in 10 to just scrape into the playoffs, and everyone was like, "Oh my Christ!"
In terms of, I think, but Plymouth will be fine. The one I'm more edgy about, I think, is Borough.
We don't think about Borough.
Even if they go into that game in a bit of mixed form, I think they'll be looking at that. I think, right, we're going to prove people wrong. Form is completely out the window for that game. I think if we can get through that Borough game, even if it's like a scrappy 1-0, I think, right, here we go. This is
just 3 points on the board. Doesn't matter how you play. Doesn't matter how you win.
Yeah.
That's all that matters, really, is your 3 points. And let's focus on Plymouth, beat them, and then we focus on Borough and how we beat them.
Yeah.
The thing is with Borough, though, like they were last saying, you never know which Borough's going to turn up. They're either brilliant or they're shite.
This season, there's a couple of Borough fans who sit with me at work, and they've actually been really good, really attacking-wise, but they struggle putting the ball in the net, weirdly, and yet they'll have a game where they'll play Leeds in the Cup, batter them 3 or 4-0, but then they played Derby, had 16 shots on target and didn't score.
Yeah. I think the squad they had at the start, I think they were tipped for top 6 anyway. I think finishing outside the top 6, their fans would say that's a bad season on their behalf. But going back to when we played them last season, I think that game at the Riverside, I think it had a draw written all over it. I think that was a fair result. But the game back at Argath, I think the first 45 minutes, I thought we were way the better team. To be honest, I think Dan Neil, if he kept his gob shut for another 30 seconds,
would have beat them.
Then I don't see us losing that game at all.
I totally agree. Anyway, there'll be time for loads of time to preview Borough after the Plymouth game.
Take one game at a time.
One game at a time.
That's all we've got time for. Thank you very much for tuning in. Greatly appreciate it. Conrad, do you want to say your goodbyes?
Yeah, thank you for watching, everyone, or listening if you're on Spotify. If you are on YouTube, please like and subscribe to the channel. It was very much appreciated if you do. And I don't really know what you do on Spotify, but apparently you can leave comments and stuff. We have about 100 listeners to the show each time on Spotify now, so each show that goes out. So, yeah, check us out on both those platforms.
Thank you very much. On that note as well, I got an email from one of the podcast websites earlier on, and I believe we are number 21 in the podcast list in Canada.
So, what, out of all podcasts or just football?
Just football. I don't know how many podcasts there is in Canada.
I was about to say Canadian Mackems listening.
Yeah.
Hope you like, share, and subscribe.
Jacob, do you want to say your farewells before we shoot off?
Yeah, absolutely. Have a good international break. I know it'll be pretty boring to some. Don't want to get back to winning ways watching the lads, but yeah, take care of yourselves on this week off, and yeah, as I always say, keep the faith.
Great stuff. Is there a Sunday bunch this week, Conrad? Are we previewing the Plymouth
I think
game?
there will be. It'll probably be talking about Plymouth and probably more general nonsense like this one, really, you know, scamming a living off of people, just waffle. And then there'll probably be an extra time where we actually start panicking about Plymouth, going, oh my God, what happens if we lose? And, you know, what happens if we've lost it all after 4 games? So, yeah, we've got lots of content coming to keep you entertained over the international break.
Great stuff. On that note, we'll see you all later. Thanks for watching. We'll speak soon.